I used to work the night shift at a gas station along a country highway from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. The road was quite dead. I'd have maybe 1 or 2 individuals come in to pick up cash during the night. It was a terribly monotonous and dismal job, especially working the graveyard shift. But I had just finished college and needed to pay off my loans. The only reason I continued this job was because my supervisor gave me an extra $5 per hour for working the night shift. On this cold December night, I was doing my normal thing, reading the newspaper, playing phone games, and so on, when I observed a car's headlights driving off the highway into the parking lot. It was a red pickup vehicle. Someone stepped out and closed the door. I returned to reading the paper when I noticed he was standing near the gas pump. I figured he didn't pay cash. I looked up a few moments later and noticed him still standing in the same spot, staring at the gas pump. I nearly felt compelled to go out and assist him. He was clearly perplexed. I felt a shiver run up my spine as I watched the 6-foot-something tall man gently turn his head to face me. I couldn't make out any of his features, but I knew he was looking at me. I pretended I hadn't noticed by returning to reading the paper. Of course, I wasn't really reading right now. I was scared by the guy out there. I just wanted him to pay with debit or card and then leave. I looked up and gasped as the man approached the front entrance of the building. It would not have been as disturbing if he hadn't moved. He was standing still as previously, looking in my direction. I strolled over to the door to have a closer look. All I could see on his face was still black. I locked the door and closed it by flipping the open sign. I didn't think carefully would get me into trouble. I wasn't taking any chances because, frankly, I was terrified. I stepped back behind the counter and sat down on one of the containers on the floor, blocking my view of the man outside. I sat in that position for about 5 minutes, messaging every person I knew to see if they were awake. I was desperate to tell someone about this. When I eventually got up to check if he had left, I let out a complete scream because the man was now standing outside the door. I grabbed the phone off the counter and dialed 911. The operator was hesitant to send someone over due to how I explained the issue, but I persuaded them. I crouched behind the counter, curled up like a child. I started to hear hard thumps at the door, not innocent knocks, which drew my attention. I mean, thuds and thumps, attempting to break through the door. Finally, it came to an end. I heard a car start outside and then drive away. I looked outside, and he was gone. A patrol cop and the state trooper pulled into the parking lot. I reported the red pickup truck and told him which direction I believe he traveled. I couldn't describe his face since all I saw was black. Of course, the cops couldn't do much because the man hadn't done anything. A few months later, I left that job for one in the city. I've been in the K9 unit for 9 years, and I've had my fair share of graveyard shifts. I've seen strange sights at night before, but this is one I'll never forget. I worked with my German Shepherd, Sammy. She was 2 years old at the time, and she, like me, was relatively new to the job. I was traveling down a road surrounded by farms when I noticed a suspicious-looking white van parked among them. Both doors were opened. I flashed my lights to try to attract whoever was there. Nobody came out, so I parked and surveyed the area quickly. Nobody was in sight, so I took Sammy to find the van's driver. When we got to the van's trunk, Sammy went crazy. She was straining so hard that she nearly broke the leash. When I opened the trunk of the van, A rush of rancid air slapped me in the face. I nearly passed out from the combination of the foul odor and the sheer shock of what I discovered in the trunk. I counted 7 full-body bags, each with 2 feet sticking out at the bottom. I requested quick backup via my radio. I heard a twig snap close, and Sammy completely lost it. I lost control of the leash, and she bolted into the crops. I took out my rifle and followed the sound of her barking. As each crop smacked me in the face, I felt like something was reaching out to grab me. I came to a halt when I could no longer hear Sammy barking. The noises of movement, however, did not stop as I did. I realized I could hear activity in all directions. I had never felt such fear in my life. I remained motionless as the movement around me came to a halt. And then, unexpectedly, I felt 2 arms wrap around my throat. I could not breathe. I could not fight. I was gonna die. And then I heard Sammy bark, followed by the man choking me and Sammy biting down on his thigh. The next thing I did, I still wonder if it was acceptable to this day. I spun around and fired, killing the man. I grabbed Sammy's leash and ran all the way back to the car. I could see that others were following us from behind. I made it to my car safely and drove a 1/4 mile down the road. I didn't stop to see which way they were going. I didn't stand my ground. I fled as a coward. I cared far more about our lives than I did about this profession. And I still believe that today. But it still hurts knowing how much of a coward I was. Backup arrived quickly, but the van was gone. I even neglected to capture the plate number on dashcam video or by writing it down. This happened within my first few months on the force, but it made me feel absolutely terrible for months afterwards. I, who has promised to protect, allowed a van full of killers to escape.